Muscadine Vineyard update. Starting to do some weeding and gonna mow all the kind of rows right here. But before I do that, let's get with an update of the Muscadines and see. There's a lot of pre-blooms and they're not what you call grapes yet. You need to wait for it to be pollinated, but they kind of look like that. They kind of look like tiny grapes, but those are pre-blooms. They're not grapes yet. So let's take a look at the vineyard, and then I'm also gonna, I got my pruners right here. We're gonna clean a lot of the growth from trunks that you don't want, okay? Because they'll be just taking energy, and you don't want fruit that low anyway. Also, you might notice there's a lot of this kind of dead vines right here. Typically around this stage of the growth in spring, you have a lot of green new growth like this, and that's pretty weak. And wind would basically just kind of pluck that out or kind of break it. And you see a lot of them kind of dangling like this, kind of dead ones. So it happens all the time. So don't freak out if you're new to Muscadine and you think there's something damaging your stuff. It's just the wind. All right, so let's start with our first row right here. And we're gonna go through the trunk and see what we can clean. All right, so this is Sugar Gate right here. Let's see, got some pre-blooms. There's some pre-blooms in there, so we're getting some Sugar Gate, hopefully. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. So you see this growth right here. You simply just, it's too young. You can just, you don't need any pruners. Just kind of yank it and break it off. Okay, so we're just kind of looking at the trunk. Okay, I don't see much on the, it's another Sugar Gate right here. It looks like there is growth down here. All right, so I'm just going to kind of cut that. And then there's this one right here coming off the very bottom. So yank that off. So you don't want, you want your trunk to be clean. There's some here that it's starting already. Got a lot of dirt here. So I'm just gonna pinch those off, making sure that there's no growth down there. All right, so this one is Summit, and we got pre-blooms as well. The bottom totally got neglected. There's some really big ones, so I'm gonna cut that. But if you got the time, you can, I could have left that and then get a pot, stick the end of this one, and it will become a new Summit Muscadine. That's how you can easily propagate Muscadine. All right, let me just get rid of all this. All right, let me double check. I gotta clear this up. Okay, so Summit. Last two here are Janet. As you can see, if you got hundreds of vines, lots of stuff to do. I don't have that much. I have a lot for a hobbyist, but it's something that you have to do. So I haven't done and got busy with a lot of things, and this thing got so big. So just imagine if you're just starting your vine and it's, let's say it's young, right? And imagine all that growth got wasted on that instead of it doing its lateral here. You're not going to be happy. All right, for me, it doesn't really matter at this point. These are developed and they're kind of old now. Look how much I neglected this one. Look what I just cut. Normally people are expecting this much growth growing through just their laterals at this point. Okay. All right, this row is now done. This is polk. The entire row is polk. Let's take a look. See this kind of dead vine here also. So that's from the wind. You can take this up, but not my priority right now. I'm just kind of looking at trunk maintenance. Lots of pre-blooms. All right, so polk is self-fertile, so it's self-pollinating. This entire row, Sugargate, Summit, and 2 Janet, these are all females, so I'm hoping this entire row right here would pollinate them, and that's kind of like their job, other than producing on their own. And polk are really good, folks. They're huge, self-pollinating, and they're quite winter hardy, I would say. Not like Supreme, and they're almost like Supreme. All right, so polk row, really clean, nothing to take out. All right, so this one right here is all late fry. These are all self-pollinating, no females here. So 2 rows really close to the female row. We should get some Muscadines for pollination. All right, so polk right here, I think this is the first one I showed. A lot of the wind kind of took out, late fry those vines, but here, lots of growth that I have to cut. All right. Take a look here. Looks like it's the same thing. It's a lot of growth down here. All right, late fry. Uh-oh. All right, so now I need to get some zip tie and then prop this up. I'll come back to that later. If you have ADHD, you might want to have zip ties along with you so that you can multitask. But I'm on a mission here just to clear all the trunk first. All right, so again, late fry. Some growth here. All right, let's take a look at pre-blooms. Late fry never disappoints. Tons and tons of pre-blooms. So hopefully in a month I'll do another update and see what got pollinated. All right, see this one dangling right here. It's so long already and whatnot. So this is probably something I forgot to prune, or yeah, so this one's going to get caught by the mower and it's going to yank that, and all that fruit will just get destroyed. So I'm just going to trim this now. So I don't want anything dangling that low to the ground this early. All right, more of the dead vines from wind damage. Okay, our last late fry in this row, and there's some growth. Just kind of quickly use my hand right here to kind of get rid of those young ones. Okay, now this is the original row. This is a Carlos. Let me get to this one right here. This one is a Carlos. Something in there. All right. This one right here is a Black Beauty. Look at that one. Kind of big. Okay. And all the weeds, they keep coming back here. And we just Gonna get rid of them real quick. And dig that with a shovel later. All right, so this one is a black beauty that took some damage. I'll be watching this. I'm gonna be keeping those. I'm not gonna cut them because there's this huge crack in the middle. So it took winter damage. So normally what happens to your muscadine is that if it took winter damage, you're not gonna know if it's dead, because there's a lot of reserve energy on the vine that would actually let it grow this much, even flower, even fruit. And then when that energy runs out, if it's cut off right here, there's nothing really coming from the bottom, this whole thing will die. So it's such a disappointment when you waited and waited thinking it made it, and then it will die. And I've seen it multiple times. So I'm not gonna cut any of those. I'm gonna let them grow, and then I'm gonna pick two and then bring them up to the trailer again and cut this off. You'll see it what I did with the Supreme with that. So we're waiting on this one. I'm not gonna touch it. Hopefully I don't mow any of this, so, and I'll remember, so I'll just keep an eye on that one. This one is another this is noble right here. So a lot of, and you always have to check for winter damage and cracks. Okay, this is another black beauty that took damage last year, so I cut it right here and let this one grow. All right, so now let's take a look. I don't think there's any crack on this one. All right, no, so it's good. So, but you got all this vines to get rid of. Okay, this one right here is Southland, one of our favorite, very strong muscadine flavor, tiny grapes though, and it's so vigorous. Okay, Southland always loaded. Pre-blooms though, but yeah, every year pretty much loaded. All right, so this one is noble. So this is the red wine kind of standard for muscadine because of its color. Okay, so there's some maintenance right there, some here. All right, this one is pineapple, heavily damaged, and I don't see any crack on the main trunk. However, there's some damage on the laterals right here, so we're kind of in observation here. So most likely it's dead up to here. This will all die later. There's a crack right there. So, however, I don't need to save any of these growth down here, because if it's good up to here, then I can just keep this one or some of those right there. So there's plenty of there to salvage. All right, so let's just, and some of these are too soft. You can just use your hands to kind of yank them out. All right, so pineapple. Another pineapple. If you're wondering, did it really taste like pineapple? Not really, just a hint, but you can kind of tell there's a hint of pineapple flavor. We like it, it's fresh eating. All right. Over here, this is a summit. So it used to be a jumbo right here, and it died. Like I said, it kind of grew and flowered and fruited and then around August it died because I didn't notice there's a crack at the bottom. But it did its thing, thinking that it survived and whatnot, and nope. All right, so this one is highly neglected. As you can see here, there's so much growth that could have went to the laterals right here. But I have three other summits, so I'm not like, you know, in a hurry or desperate for tasting this one. But I got to do my part here and kind of get rid of all this growth right here so it can concentrate on growing the top part. Be careful when you prune like this. I've done it so many times where I actually cut the wrong parts, and yeah, you'll cry. All right, this one is, I gotta get rid of this because I'm gonna forget, and it's gonna choke the plant. I use zip ties, but I make it a point when I'm pruning that I get rid of those from last year and put new ones if I have to. And I put a little bit of a space so that, you know, because they grow pretty fast. All right, last one right here from the original 2 rows. Darline, low producing in our area, one of our best tasting though. I have videos, taste tests of Darline, but look at the trunk, beefy, it's like a tree. All right, I cut that during pruning, like this big kind of branch right here, and then we got to keep an eye on this when you cut them. It always want to form on top, so I'm probably going to cut that later with a loper and kind of flatten that or flush it. Lots of growth right here. Thing about all this low producing stuff, they're very vigorous. You get a lot of vegetation, not a lot of fruit, but I don't mind. It's very good tasting. This is the other Darline. Pretty clean trunk. Texas dewberry starting in there. Got to get rid of that because it's gonna fill up that entire thing. All right, so here, brand new, 2 years ago, haul. And I cleaned the haul always whenever I pass by because I do want to taste this one. I didn't let it fruit last year, but there's a lot of pre-blooms right now, so I'm gonna get to try haul this year. I have another one over there, it's just as young. Okay, so Supreme right here, they're not very vigorous, and I prune Supreme like crazy, a lot of distance. As you can see here, it's not there's no spurs right here, some growth right here, so it's kind of, yeah. And I let it overcrop and I lost one. Well, didn't die, but there's well, you see it right there. I have to cut it. There's a crack in there. Okay. Nothing here. Which one is this? This is the other Supreme, I think. Don't remember the name. I gotta go back. Man, I get confused with this one since I did not label them properly before. Yeah, so this one is Supreme, and I think this is another Supreme because it has gotta look at my own videos. Yeah, I lost it. Oh no, there's a tag still here. No, this is not Supreme. This is a I think this is a mislabeled Ison. I think this is a bronze. I don't see any tint of purplish or darkness to it. So yeah, that's a mislabeled one, and I think this one is Supreme right here. Probably not Supreme. Let's see. It's coward. Okay. Yeah. Okay, but we gotta clean it. Gotta fix all this. Lots of growth down here. Look like roots too. Look how fat that thing is. Okay, there's more in the back. Coward. And these two are noble, I think. Yep, see that dark kind of pattern in there? So that means it's a purple or dark muscadine. And it's starting to set fruit down here. Oh, look how fat this one is. It's an entire vine growing underneath. All right, another noble. Man, I gotta weed trim this here. Let me just pull some of this so I could see. What a weird growth too. I almost mow this thing because it's too far out here. So, all right. Loaded with pre-blooms. Noble. Okay, late fry. 2 late fries. No, not yet. Not late fry. This is Supreme. These first 3 are Supreme. And I heavily prune them. So you can see the spacing. It's like 2 hand. I don't even do 1 hand. This one is another Supreme. It's not doing too good. A lot of winter damage here, and I let that kind of grow. The trunk not very thick. All right, and this is the other Supreme. Cracked, and I cut it, and I got growth. So I'm just gonna let those grow crazy. I don't care how much they grow. And when I'm keeping all of them and then train those back into the wire. All right, and yep. This is unknown, I think. I thought it was an Ison, but it turned out to be, it could be something else. So I'm not too sure what this one is, but it's labeled as an Ison. And there's some maintenance to be done. All right, let's see where all this growth coming from. All right, I think I got them all. Well, let me take that back. I think that's an Ison. This is the mislabeled Ison that turns out to be bronze. Ison is a self-fertile dark black purple muscadine, and this one was labeled an Ison, turned out to be bronze. You can see no hint of purple tint to that, so that's when it mislabeled. If I have to guess, I would say Carlos, most likely a Carlos, but it's still kind of vigorous, so the other guess would be a Scuppernong. All right, Black Beauty. For some reason, Black Beauty like our area and our soil, so they're quite productive. We got a lot of Black Beauty. We have a lot of viewers where sentiment is not a lot of production from Black Beauty, but here they're quite productive, and one of our best tasting female muscadines that are what do you call this, for fresh eating. Okay, so they're mostly fresh eating. Only noble Carlos are not in our area, I mean in our vineyard. And I have Ruby Crisp. They're in front of the house. They're not back here. But if you let Carlos ripen, they taste pretty good. But they're like over. You need to make them go overripe. So this is the other hull. The same. I got this from bottom. Same as that kind of much thinner trunk right there. This one is much healthier. Let me just do all this maintenance here real quick and check down here. Okay, we're tasting hull, folks. Hopefully some of these pre-blooms would make it. There's lots of pre-blooms. Okay, so, and I took out the row from previous video right there. Black Fry, Carlos, and Jumbo, entire row. Got rid of it. Okay, this needs to be propped up. This one is, let me check the label. Looks like there's some more maintenance down here. All right, got him. Let's check. Ison. Okay, makes sense. It's double trunk. I always double trunk the Isons before. I don't know why. Okay, so that's an Ison. And these are mislabeled Lane. They're not Lane because their Lane is purple. This one is bronze. You can see right here, there's no hint. And I thought they were all late fry because the first two are late fry. They're not, but what do they trunk resemble? Bronze, beefy, not a lot of fruit. It's a darline. Look at the lateral on this guy. It's like it's bigger than the trunk on most of my Muscadines. So I think really it's a darline. Well, they're both darlings. Look at this one too. They behave exactly the same. Bronze for sure. Look at the trunk. Look at that. Massive. All right. So darling, they're still labeled as Lane. I got it. These are late fry, and I need to put a T-post right here to support this. They get super loaded, but I heavily prune this fry because I don't want it dying or getting winter damage. So it's gonna get, I'm gonna get my late fry. I got an entire row of late fry, so I'm not too worried about not getting late fry. We like the taste of late fry, and plus you get them late when all the other Muscadines are done. Then you harvest your late fry. That's how you should plan your tiny orchard, vineyard, so you have successive. Wow, that's a Muscadine. Yes, even pre-bloom. I thought that was a weed. So it's growing right there. So you have, so you can extend your harvest season. Another late fry. All right, down here. Let's see. Take a look at pre-blooms. Plenty. Okay, so I'll do my job now and mow all this stuff. Make it look pretty and accessible. And maybe in a month I'll do another update. Let's see how many pre-blooms got pollinated, and so we can kind of estimate the Muscadine grapes we'll have for this season. Let me just kind of back away here so we can kind of get like a full scope of the vineyard. I'm down to 8 rows now here, and I got 1 row of Summit and Ruby Crisp near the main house. This is by the tree house, by the way. All right, man, lots of weeds. All right, so that's the 2025 spring trunk maintenance video of our Muscadine vineyard 2025.